This movie is a short demo of multilingual features implemented in the LizzyWiki system. These features are designed to make it easy for people to author and translate content on wiki sites in different languages. The features are designed to support a workflow that is more flexible than the typical workflow. Most multilingual content management systems assume that pages are first created in English and then translated into other languages. And also when changes need to be made, they are first made in English and then translated in other languages. This assumption is probably not valid in the world of wiki because not everybody who contributes to wiki sites is able to write good English. Therefore, it is better to allow them to write in their native language and then have somebody support somebody else in the task of translating those contributions back to other languages. The page you're seeing right now is a French page on a bilingual site, French and English, for a small cross-country ski club. If I go to the bottom of this French page, I see that there's a link pointed at the English translation. And not surprisingly, the English translation has a link pointing back to the French page. Going back to the English page, I can see that it is very much up to date, pretty much up to date. It looks very much like the French page, but there's a warning at the top that tells us it is not. The purpose of this warning is twofold. Firstly, it tells the reader that the page is not up to date and that if they are able to read in French, they might consider reading this page in French instead of English. Secondly, it tells authors and translators that this particular page needs some translation work done on it. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to try and edit the page in order to bring it back in sync with the French version. When I do that, the system displays the French page on the left-hand side and the English page on the right-hand side. In addition, in order to make my job easier, it has highlighted those parts of the French page that have changed and has scrolled the English page automatically so that it brings me to about the right place. Once I'm done with the edit, I can click on the Save button, at which point the system will ask me whether or not the two pages are back in alignment. In this case, I click on the Yes button to tell the system that my change brought the two pages in sync. After that, the system will allow me to make additional changes to the English page if I have, and I'm allowed to do this without having to go back to the French version and do them there. So let me do this, add a sentence here, and click on Save. Once I've done this, we see that the red warning at the top of the English page has disappeared, which means that the English page is now considered to be up to date. However, if we go back to the French page, we see that the French page now has a red warning sign. What this illustrates is that in LizzyWiki, no language takes precedence over the other. When we started out, the French page was considered to be the master page, the page that is most up to date, but now the English page is considered to be the master page and the one that is most up to date. Another thing that is typically difficult when translating WikiSite is to preserve the hyperlink structure on both sides so that if a page in French points to another page in French, then the translation in English of the first page points to the translation in English of the second page. And LizzyWiki has some features that help you preserve this equivalence between the French and English link structure. So for example, if I go to this English page, I can see that there's a link here to a page that does not exist yet. And although I don't know this, the reason is that the page called the Jackrabbit program has not been translated from its French equivalent yet. But I don't really have to know that with LizzyWiki, because when I click on the question mark, the system will automatically tell me if it looks as though the page I'm trying to create should be a translation of a French page. In this case, it has found that there's a page called Le Programme Jackrabbit, which doesn't have a translation yet and seems to be in the right place on the French side to be to correspond to the English page, the Jackrabbit program. So if I click on this link here, the system automatically makes a connection between the French page, Le Programme Jackrabbit, and the English page, the Jackrabbit program. And also, it's taken the French content of the French page and pasted it here on the English side, so that I can start editing it and replace it by English content. Another thing that the system has done is that it has automatically translated some links for me. So for example, the system knew that the French page Programme Jeunesse actually correspond to the English page Youth Programs. So it automatically did that translation, which again helps me preserve the relationships between French pages and make sure that the same relationships appear in the English page. When I click on the Save button, the system again asks me if the two pages are now perfect translations of each other. In this case, I'm going to answer no, because I have not finished translating the French content into English. Another way of translating pages is to go to a page, say a French page, which does not yet have a translation. And when that happens, the language link at the bottom is put in red to point out the translation is not available. If I click on the link nevertheless, then I'm able to create the translation. And again, the system shows me the French on the left-hand side and the same content pasted on the English side, so that I can start translating it. Well, that's it in a nutshell. If you're interested in learning more about LizzyWiki, you can go to this URL, which is the URL of the official wiki site for Lizzy.